Okay, we're gradually getting into the thick of the rainy season, and some crops like the vegetables, tomatoes and pepper, they usually become scarce in the market.
Yes. Yes.
With the recent lockdown on Kano, which is doing at this moment to avert some prices. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Okay.
Your line is breaking.
Okay. So I'm asking, what do you think we should be doing at this moment? You understand, to sustain, especially when we think about storage facilities and all that. This is a moment whereby food is very, very important. It's glaring. We have to sustain the distribution. We have to sustain the production so that people can eat and even be able to fight the COVID-19 itself. What would you like to say with regards to the issue regarding the likelihood of some scarcity of the fresh vegetables and fruits?
Yes. Unfortunately, I see a looming crisis. Now, first, if you look at it, a lot of these perishable foods, vegetables, spices, and all of that, they come from the north, especially from Kaduna, Benue, and all of that. And this restriction of mobility is a very big problem. Now, a lot of them target 3 markets, apart from the north, the Shasha market in Ibadan. When these produce are coming, they enter Shasha market in Ibadan. From there, it is broken down. And from there, they come to either Mile 12 or there's another portion in Lagos and in Abeokuta. This restriction is causing serious panic buying. If you look at, like in where I'm very familiar with Ogun State, during these lockdown windows, go to the market and you see that by 11 o'clock, you can't get anything to buy. People leave their homes very early in the morning to go to do, they are doing panic buying. And now, before now, you have diverse mode of feeding. But now people just lay their hands on what they have. And the planting season starts in Nigeria here, it's between March and May. Because of our weather, a lot of people don't go to the production of those perishables like tomatoes and all that. It's very complicated. And unfortunately, we don't have storage systems in this country where you can store things like tomato and all of that. If you look at the pricing, when it leaves Kaduna State, Benue, a basket does not go for more than maybe 15,000 naira. By the time it's getting here, ordinarily, when you have freedom of movement, it's getting up to 30, 40, depending on the season. There's a serious problem. Now, in the last 1 or 2 weeks, Tatache and Bawa has been scarce in the market. Because the problem they say is some of them, they cannot move them to the market. There's this firm I'm working closely with. They are locking down automobile companies who are fixing some of these vehicles. And it's also causing friction in mobility and in movement. Some of these logistic companies, they break them down. If it continues like this, let's not forget the weather prediction for this year says we are going to have a lot of rains and a lot of flooding. Farmers initially who are going to farms to prepare their land, our security operatives, come what may. Federal government, you don't carry the AFAN, the AFAN groups are having a aversion to even go to farms. Let us not forget, because of the border closure, around here too, a lot of the labor we use on our farm are from either Benin Republic or either from Benue State. A lot of them are having this restriction problem. Something happened recently where we had to also attend to. A small, medium farmer was bringing his item, he was robbed. Because of hunger, a lot of these hoodlums at the roadblock, they robbed and took a lot of these things. So people are sending messages, and and unfortunately we don't have a social protection system in Nigeria, it's going to be problem.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Ademuyiwa. I think from what I'm hearing, that probably informed the decision yesterday of Mr. President to actually, just like Mr. Adefeko mentioned, to lower, to ease the restrictions. So I think maybe all this will also ease out in the next 1 or 2 weeks. But more importantly, what I see here are opportunities. It just clearly tells us there is a lot that can be achieved in that sector. Demand is definitely always there. And it's just about the players there developing the capabilities and the capacity with the right support from government. We have talked about the produce locally and some of the inputs that we derive locally. What about, sometimes I know we have micronutrients, vaccines that are required for our livestock that are usually sourced from outside the country. With the restriction, I mean, there's a global logistic conundrum, if you like, and I think that will probably upset supply across the globe. How do you see that impacting on livestock farmers, Ms. Loy? How do you see that impacting on livestock farmers? What are the options available for them? Did you hear me?
I didn't hear most of it. I just heard you say, what did you?
Okay, sorry. I was talking about the fact that, okay, apart from logistics internally, domestically, even with regards to some imported raw materials, I was talking to an MD of one of the agri-food companies 2 days ago, and I was complaining bitterly about the issues at the port. I thought there were some allowance given to them at the port. So I'm referring to the livestock farmers, for instance. I know they import some of their micronutrients, vaccines, you understand, for some of their livestock imported. So how do they adjust? What do you think?
I had addressed that in terms of stock, stock of raw inputs, and they will definitely be impacted negatively because I'm sure most of them are running out of additives and bionutrients that they use. And we don't know whether those who are also classified as essential materials that can be brought in even with the shutdown of the ports and all of that. That is the challenge with the level of coordination that one of the speakers alluded to. How coordinated, how deliberately planned, designed is this? We know that it's not as good. That is why Agric was not involved in the first place, because if Agric was involved, was considered as important as it's supposed to be, it ought to have been in the committee admin issue, and then the design of waivers and deferrals or what approvals that are required to ensure that agro-processing, food processing, whether it's feed for animals or for human beings or whatever, is not impacted. So I don't know if they have added it to the items that can be shipped, for instance. If they haven't, then that means very soon, if the restriction continues, very soon those people will probably not be able to produce. I know that we have partners in my current place, Matrix Fertilizer, for instance, in Zaire. I know that they complained about internally just getting inputs from Port Harcourt so they can blend. So they are unable to make confirm what inputs that they can supply to agribusinesses that are trying to book for fertilizers. This is internally, just to move from Port Harcourt to Kaduna. So you can then imagine when you take it outside. So something urgent needs to be done. We have to resolve these issues in the next 2 weeks. And I know I spoke with Dr. Tayo of NESG. We had a meeting with my colleagues and them last week. And I know they're in the committee. And I mentioned some of the challenges that we've gotten feedback from our partners on. And they have to do more. But you see, Nigeria is a country where the law enforcement have a law unto themselves, like my other panelists said. You have to pay like 10,000. If you pay 10,000 naira at the interstate border, you can pass. So there's no real, so they're just making money at the borders and causing a lot of problems. So imagine if you manage to get her, you have to keep paying at every checkpoint in between the locations before you get to where you're going to. So the committee has to do better than they are doing. That is my own take, both for international inflows and for local inflows, but starting with the local inflows first.
Okay.
Femi, can I add something to that?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes. Can I just add something quickly to that?
Yes, please go ahead.
The ports.
Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
The ports, for example, we talked about logistics. There's a lot of problems with coordination, and the coordinating organizations are misaligned. There's no alignment. But to a large extent, for us, as you know, we are into animal feed and fish feed. Luckily for us, like I said, we don't have such problems. But if this continues for another 1 to 2 months, we'll have a crisis on our hands. But as it is right now, the problem we have right now is coordination, allowing the free flow of essentials coming into the country. The ports are open, but as open as they are, there's a lot of misalignment, and that alignment needs to be properly zoned and enhanced and fortified. And to what Lois spoke to, it is very, 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 very true. Otherwise, we'll be talking about problem with fish, problem with poultry, and problem with livestock. So those three, very, very essential. But now that agriculture or the agri ministry is involved, I wonder why they were taken out in the first place. But again, you never know. Yes, now that they are involved, it is important now for us to have that coordination and alignment. The law enforcement agents on their own don't even seem to have a clue. And every time you are moving through the states, they always tell you that, they want something from their own boss, who in this case is the Inspector General of Police. But I think they've rammed it down their throats that, essential services, very important. And I think they are beginning to ease, and I can speak to the metropolis, okay? But like she said, in the hinterland, the case is different. And if these guys can't get produce from the farm to the farm gate, then we'll have a problem. Because 80%, 60 to 70% of what you produce, okay, is lost due to lack of storage. And that storage is very, very, very important. Storage is very, very important. But if we had storage, half of our problems will be solved. We can always store, preserve, and we can always release. And I'm sure a lot of Nigerians were surprised last week or 2 weeks ago when government announced that they were releasing 70,000 tons from the strategic growing reserve. Most Nigerians never believed. We had storage. We had a growing reserve. Okay, so these are the things that are very, very important.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Femi.
Yes, please.
Hello, Mr. Femi. Yeah, let me also add, a lot of these things are imported from abroad. If you check the list, FAO just intervened recently when some countries now have brought up some export restrictions on some of these items. They are trying to prioritize, everybody is trying to look inwards. They are trying to look at supplies within their country. So even if we have a seamless flow, because of what is also happening, this pandemic is universal. We're also going to have disruptions in the import of some of these items into this country. If you look at our fertilizer, a lot of the ingredients used for fertilizer, they're from Morocco. Morocco has, they placed a restriction in some of the exports of some of these stones and all of that for us to do supply to some of our blending plants. Okay. Yes, phosphate, which is needed by a lot of these blending plants. Then also, the WHO has also generated a protocol for the aquaculture industry. Now, a lot of these things are brought by ships and all of that. They are generating new protocol for you to export fish and some of all these fish items across the world. By the time they come out with these protocols too, some of these things we find difficulty in coming because it's very difficult for a lot of these hygiene protocols to be kept on the ships. And a lot of these ships now that you have restrictions on air, the ships are the next alternatives. So a lot of these things will bring some of these restrictions, they will bring some of these problems. And government, we need to now sit down and do a lot of this risk reduction strategies in the country. Thank you.